Action. That was great.
Sorry if that was loud for people.
Sorry. Didn't think about that. Our bad.
What are we doing today, Steve?
Adaptations.
Number
3. Your Zoo Adventures team is going to be diving into Adaptations number 3. Steve's in front of the camera.
Leslie?
Chelsea.
Oh, wait.
Chelsea.
Thank you.
And where are you, Chelsea?
I'm behind the camera.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. We might even hear a little bit more from Chelsea today. It'll be awesome to hear some stuff from Chelsea, our bird nerd. Self-appointed bird nerd.
True.
So it's a good thing.
So our third one
Adaptations.
about adaptations, those things that animals have that allow them to survive in their habitat, what niche they're kind of filling. We have so many animals at the zoo, so many cool adaptations per animal.
Awesome.
You ready to go check some out?
Let's dive into it. Let's go. That's a big something?
A toady.
That's a toad?
I mean a toad, sorry.
Which one is it?
I got excited because I think they look really adorable right now.
Pretty cute. Which ones are those?
These are Colorado river toads.
River toads? So it's size must be one adaptation.
I mean, there are toads that are very large, for sure. But there are some frogs that are bigger than the biggest toad.
Okay.
But one of the ways that I tell them apart is that usually toads have a little bit more of that quote-unquote warty skin.
Yeah.
But also, look at those big old bumps that they have, like, right behind their eyes.
What are those?
Those are poison glands.
Seriously?
Yeah. They have a very special, fancy name for it, but I don't remember it right now. So.
Oh, is this the bufotoxin things?
Yeah, that sounds. Right? I mean, bufo is a name that's in a lot of frogs and toads. So, but they do have the ability to secrete a toxin through those glands, and it is very bad tasting.
Does that protect them?
It does protect them. Yeah, think about it. If something's trying to eat you, which things would try to eat toads, and all of a sudden you secreted something that made you real gross, or even could harm the other animal, make them very sick.
Maybe make it sick.
Yeah, would an animal want to eat you?
Absolutely
No,
not.
exactly. So it's a great defense mechanism that they have. Great adaptation to kind of keep it so that it makes it predators don't want to eat them.
Nice. So not just size, but they have that poison gland as well.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
Interesting. What's next?
Let's go find out.
Alopex logopus. Alopex. That's pretty funny.
It does sound like you're sneezing.
That's the scientific name of the Arctic fox, in case you're curious.
Oh, I was so curious.
I thought you might be.
Thank you, Steve. I was
dropping a little scientific
very
knowledge.
worried about not knowing the name, but I know him by Arctic fox.
Arctic fox, yeah. All right. That's fair.
Cutie cute face.
Cutie cute face. I'll give you that one.
So,
what's today about? Adaptations, right?
Mm-hmm.
So do you have anything you'd like to talk about with Arctic Fox when you're on a program or want to share with a visitor that's coming?
Yes.
What you got?
So one of the things that I think is really neat about Arctic foxes as that one runs away is that they actually change color. Because if you think about it, they're not like a chameleon or anything like that. But if you think about it where they live in the Arctic, it's not snowy all the time.
Sure.
Right? Yeah. I mean, it's very snowy most of the time. But so the white coat that they have definitely allows them to blend in with all that snow and the ice. But the time of the year that it is not as cold and there's less snow and ice, they also have to blend in. If they're bright white, they stick out. And look, this is perfect.
Oh, perfect example. Look at that.
So they kind of molt or they shed their fur, and then they're like a grayish color.
Can you get that, Chelsea? Yeah.
Other times of the year as well. So, perfect, right?
Great
also,
shot,
now we all know why they're called Cutie McCuteface. But yeah, so that helps them kind of blend in a little bit better when there isn't the snow and ice.
Good stuff.
So having those two different colors based on the year. And hares in the Arctic do that.
The Arctic hare does too?
Mm-hmm. And then even birds like ptarmigans.
That's right. Yes. That's cool.
What about you?
One that I share with not just the Arctic fox, but also the sand cat.
Okay.
So you're going from cold to heat. But they cache their food. They hide food over time.
Oh, they don't like cash it out?
No, they don't pay. It's not a pay thing.
They have money.
There's
a whole currency.
There's a whole Arctic fox currency.
Wow, amazing.
Which is kind of cool. But no, they'll hide it. So
Yeah.
for the Arctic fox, for example, they'll dig down into the permafrost.
Permafrost. Okay.
So permanently frozen ground.
That
So
makes
they're
sense
going
to
to
me.
dig down.
Makes sense to me.
And if you think about it, it does. It makes perfect sense. If you're going to take your food home and it's frozen food, where do you put it?
The freezer.
The freezer. Nice job. So they're using a permanent freezer as the ground.
Interesting.
They just dig down, put the food in there, they can cover it up. The frozen ground acts as a freezer or refrigerator,
Okay.
keeps the food cool and fresh.
Very neat.
They can go back and eat it later.
Yeah, I mean, people used to do that too. Back before we
Absolutely.
had refrigeration.
Yep,
You know,
that's
you
the
could
cellars.
put it down in where it's really, really cold.
Yep.
Amazing.
So you use the environment that's around them. And they have a great sense of smell. Find it later.
Pretty neat.
Yeah. Adaptations of the Arctic fox. Meep meep. Meep meep.
He's the wrong
This
color.
is
know what
the
that is?
real thing. Isn't that
Oh.
really interesting? The real Roadrunner?
That is the real Roadrunner.
I know. So
Adaptations. They are fast. They're not like Roadrunner fast you see on the cartoon, but they are very, very fast, and they hunt on the ground. How cool is that?
cool. That is very neat.
They are oftentimes hunting small reptiles. They'll eat snakes,
Uh-huh.
other animals like that, but they use those feet and those long, strong legs to run and hunt on the ground.
I'm assuming that really long tail
Yep.
helps with balance,
Great
especially
job.
if they're running really fast or they're hopping kind of from rock to rock. That very long tail, kind of like long tails on cougars.
Oh,
you know?
good example.
Great balance that they have, and you can see he moves it a lot too.
Yep.
So it seems like it's actively helping.
But we wanted to share the Roadrunner with you, digital friends, an animal that is really kind of unique. We're glad to have him. So you wanted to come over to Honeybee to do adaptations, Leslie?
Yeah, because we were going to talk about these on the picture and on the fake honeybee, but then I came over here and I saw some of them have really great pollen baskets.
Like what? So
Yeah,
what
you
is
see?
what is that?
See how there's it almost looks like two large yellow kind of things sticking on the sides of the bee?
Yeah, okay.
That's pollen.
Oh,
So,
really?
So when the bee goes to the plant and eats from the plant, the pollen kind of collects in those baskets. We call those baskets.
Neat.
And that pollen, he can move around from plant to plant, and that helps the plant to basically to reproduce, or more plants to grow more plants.
So do you think that's kind of an adaptation too?
Yeah,
With
it's
some of
like
the
a plant
Yeah,
adaptation.
okay.
But the bees help that plant adaptation,
Nice.
so it's really kind of neat. And those baskets, so honeybees are good pollinators, but there's lots of other bees too that are native bees around here that are good pollinators as well and have those pollination baskets, or it sticks to the quote unquote hairs on them.
Yeah.
So, but pretty neat, and it looks adorable, I think.
That is kind of
These
neat.
little pollen baskets as they walk
Have
around.
that, and you can kind of see them in some. Some of them are a little bit bright. I see some with bright yellow pollen,
Yeah.
and some are a little bit more orange. So it's just kind of different types of pollen, I assume.
That is
Neat.
a question I don't know the answer to, but that's a nice assumption, so we could research it later.
Yeah, love it.
That's what's great about science, right? It starts with a question.
Great point. Great point. Something else I love about bees is that they all kind of have their own job, and that job helps them survive in the hive.
Yeah.
So some bees are taking out the trash. They might be taking out other dead bees, but taking out pieces and parts of other things that fall off. Some bees actually flap their wings at the front of the hive to help cool the hive. There's a queen bee. Her job is to simply make more bees. Some are out harvesting honey and pollen, as you just mentioned, bringing back in the pollen sacs.
And I mean, look how many bees are in here.
There are
So
so many.
So many jobs, and they all know what exactly they're supposed to do and when.
I love it. That is so
I
cool.
love this, Chelsea, if you could show this over here, all the bees leaving the hive, too. It's like a, what are those? Like a tunnel. That you walk through.
like a tunnel?
Well, it is a tunnel, but I was thinking of, as a human, I've walked through tunnels like that in buildings before to get from a building
From
to
one building to another? Yeah,
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
like those hamster tunnels to get.
So some going and some coming.
Yeah. All
That's
knowing their
neat.
job, right?
All knowing their job, absolutely. Some amazing adaptations with the little honeybee miracle workers. It's Kelly the porcupine. She's a Cape porcupine. We've met her before.
Not only have we met her before, but she is a celebrity because
is
she has
that?
been on our television show, right?
Yes. Whoop, whoop.
The infamous Kelly. We actually had a guest not so long ago ask us if this was the Kelly.
It is
from-
the
and
Kelly.
It is the Kelly. There she is. She is in all her glory.
She's side-eyeing us a little
She
bit.
is a little bit side-eyeing us. But what porcupines in general, even though yes, this is Kelly and she's amazing. Porcupines in general, pretty neat adaptations, and you can see them at the back, right?
Yes, I could see some really unique adaptations at the back of the porcupine.
Those pointy quills.
Yep. Primarily for protection, I'm going to assume, on a porcupine.
Yeah, think about it as they can move them.
They can move.
Yeah,
them.
like up and down kind of type thing, but they can't like shoot them out or anything like that. That's something that a lot of people are told, but is not a true. So we would call that kind of like a myth or something like that. But
that makes sense.
but they can move them up and down. So if she was nervous, she could kind of flare them all out, and then since she can't shoot them, what does she do?
Does she bury her head in the sand?
No, she doesn't bury her head in the sand. What would that do? Then
She'd look like a pincushion.
Then she would look like a pincushion, right?
No, not.
And then just hope the animal runs into her.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, oh, I don't see how.
I guess that might not, maybe not the best behavior.
No,
in the
she can
world.
kind of like jump or back up, that type
really?
of thing.
She'll physically move. That's cool.
And then, so the hope is, that she'll just kind of like move around or thrash around, and then the animal will either be scared and run away or will get stuck with those giant quills, and then they can detach.
Oh, so they stay in the animal, but they stay in like if it was a leopard or something.
It would come out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not something a whole lot of fun to have happen to you.
No, and I think that's probably why people think that they kind of like shoot out, because since it does come out,
right.
Then it's kind of like, and if you think about porcupines in North America too, like I don't know if anybody's had a dog that's gotten too close to a porcupine, but those quills get all in its face.
Yep.
So even though this is not a North American porcupine, it's a African porcupine, but same thing.
I thought one of the, and I think this is right. You were talking about how they have muscles kind of attached to those hairs. They can kind of stick them up. I've heard it's kind of like when we get scared or we get cold and our hair stands on end. Those are muscles.
Yeah.
That help stand those. So same idea with a porcupine, I believe.
Right, because it's
Same
hair.
idea.
It's just modified hair, and it's modified to the point that they're really thick
Kelly.
and big. And see how she's kind of moving it right now, but and they're very pointy, but still hair.
Nice. And one last thing, I don't know if she's going to take a bite of something there for us or not. They are rodents. So their teeth grow the entire life of the animal. So they've got to constantly chew on things, constantly gnaw on things. But having those sharp teeth is a wonderful adaptation. And being able to kind of, as they continue to grow, kind of cut them back, maybe?
Yeah.
Is another wonderful adaptation. It helps them survive in their habitat.
Right. But they do need to constantly chew too, because of that. Yeah. And so if they don't, then that teeth can overgrow.
Yep.
I don't know if anybody's ever had a rabbit before. I know Chelsea and I have probably talked about how we have rabbits. But they're not rodents, they're lagomorphs, but very similar tooth structure where those teeth constantly grow. So you have to give them things to chew back, or else they could have dental issues.
Right.
And if anybody knows Kelly's story, she is missing a tooth. So she is an old porcupine. We love her very, very much.
Yes.
And she has had some teeth problems. So we not only have to watch her teeth to make sure that other tooth is grinding down, but we also have to watch her teeth to make sure the second tooth, the one that's missing, stays nice and healthy and clean and doesn't get infected.
Go vets.
Go vets.
Go keepers.
Yeah, and training, because I think we've said it before, where she is actually trained to kind of walk onto an X-ray and get an X-ray. So, love her.
Porcupine.
Bye, Kelly. We are here.
Here?
Here is where we are.
And
by
that is
the
where?
seals.
Oh.
Yeah.
Look, here comes one.
Look at those tiny, tiny little flippers.
Neat. That is so cool. So I was thinking with seals, harbor seals, there's a lot of really cool adaptations.
Yeah.
So can we kind of rapid fire a few again?
I think we can.
Oh, there goes a sea lion. Well, maybe we can talk about the differences in a minute.
Right. Well, I think one big thing that I said, those tiny little flippers.
Right.
So I'm just going ahead in it. So I'm leaving you behind.
You're leaving me?
I'm going.
Where are you going?
I'm going
All right,
to
let's
tell
go.
you. So the flippers that they have kind of, seals have kind of like shorter front flippers and back flippers,
Yeah.
but they can use for steering and then for momentum or for pushing themselves. You might see this as it swims by.
Oh,
See?
nice.
And they can shake their back two flippers to kind of move and then open up because they're feet basically.
Right.
Where there's bones in there, so they can open them up and close them as well, and that kind of helps them move.
Very nice.
So yeah, steering flippers for steering
steering.
through water.
Flew through the water.
Yeah.
You can actually see on both the harbor seal and the sea lion in this instance, they have those really cool whiskers. And I don't know if you will see those, digital friends, as they kind of pass back and
Maybe
forth.
we can see it.
Oh, look here. Okay, look at those whiskers. Look at the whiskers. Look at the whiskers. Nice job, Chelsea, trying to get up close. And those whiskers, and you used a fancy science word before with those vibrissae, are there for really important reasons. It helps them feel in the water. And they can actually sense direction.
Wow.
They can sense obstacles,
Wow.
size of prey or size of obstacle or size of danger as well.
Pretty amazing.
So their whiskers are really, really important to them to survive underwater. And with those whiskers, they can survive even if they lose their eyesight.
Well, but speaking of eyesight.
What about that?
And like you were saying, they use those whiskers, so you may not see our seals and current sea lion with their eyes open because they can use that vibrissae. I continually say it in different ways every
each time.
because they can sense the world around them, but they have really great eyesight.
They do, yeah.
They have giant eyes. In fact, we don't even see their whole entire eye.
Really?
It is covered. Yeah, it's covered by some of their skin, but their eye socket is huge, and they have these huge eyes, and they can use those to see the prey if they need to, or if it's really murky, then they can use the whiskers.
Oh, I see. Fantastic.
Fantastic eyesight, though.
That's awesome. What about that really cool body shape? Watch this. That's Owen, one of our sea lions. But if you see the seals, you'll see that same type of body shape. It almost looks like a torpedo, kind of bigger in the middle, tapered on the front and the back. And that, look at this little slow pass. Here I am. And then it goes quick pass.
Yes, they're streamlined, right?
And that's the excellent word. It helps them get through the environment, which in this instance is an aquatic or marine environment, pushing through the water. So it's an amazing adaptation. So body shape is really important to them.
One of my other favorite, and this because sometimes you'll see the seals doing this, is something called bottling. Have you ever heard of that?
I do know this.
Bottling.
This is pretty cool.
So you think about it, they're swimming a lot, and they can swim for as long as they really need to.
Sure.
We have plenty of land for them to get out on if they get tired or they need to take a break. But if they're in the ocean and they are too stressed, or they wouldn't do it if they're stressed. They'd keep swimming.
Really tired.
But if they're really tired and they feel like they can take a break, they'll do something bottling, which is where they just kind of like bob up and down in the water,
so
just
cool.
Their head sticking out, and it looks like they're not living anymore, but they are. They're just resting. But it's called bottling, and then in some fur seals they do something called jug handling. I know, fancy, right? Where it's very similar, but they turn on their side, and then they lift kind of like one flipper out of the water, and then they can hold to their back flippers with their other front one, and it allows them to kind of stay there as well. It's pretty neat to watch as
That's
well.
kind of neat.
But similar thing, just to kind of rest, because they could be out in the ocean for so long.
Nice. Cool.
I have one more.
Oh, I was going to say one thing, just go along with
Sure.
along with your bottling, you're sleeping. Digital friends, when you come, sometimes you may see the seals or sea lions laying on the bottom of the pool, on the bottom of the habitat. That's them sleeping. They can sleep underwater for little bits at a time. Our keepers are constantly checking. We do get calls a lot. Are your seals and sea lions okay? It looks like they're on the bottom of the habitat. maybe not doing so well. They're completely fine. What was your last one?
Great segue. You didn't even know what I was going to say.
You're right.
And I want to talk about the mammalian dive reflex.
The what?
Oh yeah, mammalian because they are mammals.
Mammals.
Diving because they need to dive,
Underwater.
and reflex is something that kind of happens in their body.
Mammalian dive
Right.
reflex.
So these animals, they can kind of shut down, not fully, but like they can kind of use a less of their body as they're diving to save oxygen.
Oh, wow.
So as they are kind of diving really, really deep, we always wonder, how can they hold their breath for so long? Well, their body is using the oxygen in the blood in very specific ways. And it's a reflex, it's something that just kind of happens to them as they're diving. But that's why they can hold their breath for so long and why they can sit at the bottom of the habitat and look like like how would I would be able to hold my breath that long.
Wow.
It's because of that mammalian dive reflex.
Nice.
Pretty amazing, right?
I love it. And there's a ton more we can probably get into with these guys. But I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and see if we can find something else. Maybe we can come back to these guys another time. What is that?
It's my new friend.
He's adorable.
I mean, I think the more you like look at animals and learn about them, the more adorable they look. But you're right, it's kind of like, oh, that's a roach. Like
He's a little shocking, but some amazing adaptations for survival on this giant cave cockroach.
Correct.
Nice. Okay.
All right, see those big old antennas?
Mm-hmm.
See how it's moving them around? Because it's sensing where it can and can't go.
Nice.
It's using that antenna to kind of know where the end of my hand is or if
Okay.
it can move over. So antenna to feel, for sure.
Nice. And I see that his head isn't on top where it kind of looks like his head is. It's underneath that little shield.
His head's right here.
Neat.
And a lot of people say this is its head, right?
Right.
But that is, you're right, a little shield that protects its face. Its face is actually kind of like tucked underneath.
Got you. Do you know what these cockroaches eat? Is that an adaptation?
Dude, they're cave cockroaches.
Okay.
Let's see if anybody can guess what they eat. So cockroaches are known for
cockroaches.
being kind of like the vacuum cleaners.
Yeah, they're good time. They're excellent cleaners
so
of
they
the
clean the environment and
Yep.
they live in caves. And there are these animals that also tend to live in caves.
They
That
really
fly.
They eat bats?
Bats,
They
right?
eat bats?
No, they eat something that comes from bats.
Are you serious?
Guano.
Nah, no way.
Yeah.
So this is a bat. This is an animal that eats bat poop?
It eats guano. It eats bat poop. It's trying to dig in my hand right now, and it's actually kind of adorable. Yeah, they do. They clean basically clean up the cave. So there's not a lot of bat guano. They can eat that bat guano.
So kind of the same job that other cockroaches do, just in a different location. Nice.
Very true. And you can kind of see, this is really good right here. Do you see what it's doing? It's kind of trying to like dig. So it can use that really large kind of part of its exoskeleton, so its
Ooh,
outside
nice
skeleton,
word. Yep.
to dig. It can use it a little bit like a shovel.
Oh, that's cool.
Isn't that neat?
So it's kind of pushing.
Yeah, we see how we kind of doing that. Then it's that nice big flat area, so it doesn't have to use its arms, because it does have very small arms.
And you said something about their legs. You said their legs are kind of pokey?
Yeah, let's see if we can. He's trying to dig. You can kind of see on these legs, there's lots of little pokey thingies. And that's actually one of the reasons why I wear here, we'll give him a little bit of a place to hide.
Oh, let's finish your little digging story.
Right, yeah. So they actually wear, sorry, what was I talking about?
The pokey things on the legs.
I got really like worried about it and wanted to give it a place
You're
to
so
hide.
sweet.
So that's why
You're
I'm
so
doing
kind.
this right now.
how they
So the
kinda
little
stick.
pokey things on their legs, yeah, it allows them to climb up stuff. Basically,
I
it
see,
gives
okay.
them kind of more, like almost like claws that on animals, so that they
Just
can.
all up and down the legs, though. So it
Basically.
gives them that much more ability to climb.
Right, and that's one of the reasons I wear gloves when I handle them, because
Oh, okay.
they're pretty pokey. So
Are they really?
yeah, and if it's moving around a lot, then I can it doesn't feel great on my
Sure.
so I tend to wear gloves with them as well.
Nice. Okay. And one other adaptation I think is kind of obvious, but maybe not so much. They have wings.
Yes, they do
So they're
have
not
wings.
the best flyers in the world, but they can fly.
Right, yeah. So I can show you again. So we can see those wings, these beautiful big wings that they have. And since they have an exoskeleton or something that kind of is a skeleton on the outside of the body, they have to molt or they have to shed that skeleton to be able to grow. So they get new skeletons as they grow, or exoskeletons as they grow.
Nice.
And that
You
includes
shed those out.
the wings.
Or molt, I think
Molt,
is the word.
yes, molt is the most correct word for that.
My attention was diverted a little bit. We have a creek behind us where we are, and there was a robin taking a bath. So I heard a splash, 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 splash. Fantastic. So yeah, so huge animals adaptations, small animal adaptations, but all those adaptations helping you survive in your environment. That's a great shot, Chelsea, of our burrowing owl.
Wait a second, Steve.
Yep. Yes.
Owls live in trees, right?
They do live in trees.
So why is it a burrowing owl?
Because it's a burrower.
But do they burrow in trees?
Nope.
Okay, but we just said that they live in trees.
Yep.
So what is it? Tell me what it is.
Are you just desperate? You've got
I
to know
need
what's
to
going
know.
on. Burrowing owls. Remember, this program about adaptations.
Yes.
Are diggers. They
Okay.
will use burrows. They'll dig their own burrows. They'll steal burrows. They'll borrow burrows from other animals, and they'll literally lay nests under the ground.
So-
Burrowing owl.
So not every owl lives in a tree.
Correct.
Wow.
The burrowing owl is an example of an animal that will burrow, take it. Now remember, they're from kind of a warm, desertish type environment.
Right, yeah.
So if you dig down in the ground, what's the soil like after you dig down a little bit?
Cooler?
It's a little cooler.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Yep. So they were able to take advantage of that characteristic of the desert about being a little cooler by digging down to that cooler space to be able to lay their eggs and sometimes even avoid danger if needed.
True. Like we always talk about, ways to adapt to the heat, and one really
said, yeah.
great way is to just escape from it.
Exactly. Good point.
So it makes sense. An owl living in such a warm climate, going into the trees,
Yep.
it's not going to be that much cooler,
Nope.
even if there is some shade. And in the desert, there's not a lot of trees.
Absolutely.
So literally burrowing underground.
Fantastic.
Genius.
Right? Good job, burrowing owls.
So many fun things we learned today.
Awesome. Yeah, a lot of really cool, neat, interesting, and out of the box kind of stuff.
I know. Adaptations, man.
Love it.
They are some of the neatest and most wide knowledgeable things that I know. That made no sense,
They
but
didn't.
I'm going to go with it
Are
because
you?
I just
Are
feel
you?
so filled with knowledge today.
You are. You're.
And I love to teach about adaptations.
And you've opened up the digital brain,
Mm-hmm.
and you just poured and poured and poured knowledge into that digital
Yes,
brain.
we did.
Awesome.
It's
Fantastic.
overflowing. So adaptations number 4 coming down the pike, maybe?
What do you
Number
guys think?
5,
You
number
want
6?
Another one on adaptations?
We
There's
could-
so many animals here.
That's very true.
I love it. That'd be so neat. All right, so it's your Zoo Adventures team wrapping up at adaptations number 3. Behind the camera today was,
Chelsea.
and in front of the camera today was
Leslie.
Steve. Nice to see you. The zoo's opening up more and more and more. We hope to see you at the zoo one day. Remember, masks are being asked in those areas where you can't socially distance very well. All for safety. Y'all be safe. You be safe.
Mm-hmm. We still have time ticketing. Come on down. We miss you all.
That's true.
It's getting warm. It's getting nice. So we hope to see you. Enjoy the rest of your day from us here at the North Carolina Zoo.
Bye, everybody. Bye, y'all.